I've been in product for actually coming up for 20 years at this point. And I started my journey as a business analyst back in the day where we did 100-page specification documents and handed them over to development, and there was no communication between us. Then I worked in companies that adopted Agile, and I moved more into a product ownership role where I was working specifically with squads. And then as I kind of expanded my roles in other companies and I started managing product people, I kind of moved into a product management role where quite often the difference was that I kind of had a responsibility across squads, not not in a single squad. I had to kind of marry ambitions across squads against strategic themes and things like that. So that's kind of how my journey in product kind of has evolved over time, as not only I've kind of been growing in experience, but also product itself has changed massively in the time I have been doing it. But when I came to Workday, the role that I was enticed by was the mobile role. I was aware there was a single team in Dublin, and that they spent a lot of time working with teams on the West Coast of North America, so in Canada and in California. And a lot of it was about making sure that we were aligned with there, but also making sure that we were aligned with our apps teams. And I'm also someone who loves B2B. That is kind of unusual. Most product people I have worked with, they would say that they have a real passion for customer facing and B2C. But I had a really great product mentor who kind of said, B2B is really B2B2C. Yeah. There's always a user at the end of it, but you also have to think of a customer in the middle as well, who may have slightly different motivations from those users. So it's just a more complex, more interesting problem to solve. So something that I have a bit of experience from in my past life that I was able to bring to Workday and kind of, say that, I have this passion for the end user and seeing that, but I'm also aware that we have this B2B relationship that is the foundation of what we do. And you can't kind of focus in on the user and forget about the person who is, signing the contract to get the software into that company. Like I said, it's just a more complicated problem, more moving pieces, more exciting. So I really enjoy that. So that's kind of a whirlwind tour of why I came to Workday, what I love about that kind of environment, the kind of how I've kind of progressed in product. I made it sound like it was a journey without any kind of pitfalls. It wasn't, but it was, I kind of glossed over those. But it was, as kind of product has evolved, I think that, one of the things I love about this job is it's never predictable.
True.
I start my day with a list of things I'm going to achieve. If I can get half of them crossed out, brilliant. But I can guarantee by the end of the day, I will have written about another 5 things on there that I was not expecting.
Jem, that's the beauty of this role, that every day is so new, it's exciting, and we are, as product managers, are discovering this role every single day. There is always something new and exciting and innovative to work on. You have transitioned from PO role to a PM role. Were there any challenges when it comes to transitioning? Because I still see that POs are considered differently to PMs. And maybe it's a stereotype right now that needs to be, we need to break in the market, that POs don't have a complete skill set to transition into a PM role. But did you have those challenges when it comes to transitioning from PO to PM, or did you have to upskill into certain areas to transition into a PM role?
It's one of those things that always comes up at product conferences. What is the difference between a PO and a PM?
Yes, it's complicated.
And I think I've definitely got a few books. I think there's the product book, a couple of books by Marty Kagan, which touches on these kind of areas. Now, in kind of like in the past, what I would say is product owner and product manager as terms, I saw as being kind of really dependent on the company I was working for.
Okay.
Some companies who had adopted Agile massively were doubling down on you are a product owner. And they didn't even have product management. Some of them would just have program management.
Right.
And the product owners were kind of doing a product manager, product owner, and business analysis skill as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've worked in companies where they just don't have product owners. Everyone's a product manager. But kind of where you've got kind of companies where they do kind of differentiate, where I've seen them do it is they've kind of said, right, product owners, you are in the squad and you are the voice of product for that squad.
Yeah.
The product manager will maybe be literally sometimes the manager of the product owners, and they'll have them on that Spotify model of having tribes and clans that, you know, right, the product manager is...
That's great you have mentioned Spotify model, and I love that model so much. So much in the favor of it. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Jen.
It's one of those things that I'm not even sure that Spotify is aware of the impact they've had on the industry with that model, because I've seen a number of companies adapt to it, and you know, it's one of those things where you wonder if when they did the TED talk or the talk at the conference where everyone suddenly picked up the idea that, you know, they realized it would have this impact on the community.
And we love it. We love working that way.
I'm a big advocate for working in an empowered product group, whether that group is a clan, a squad,
or a tiger team.
Org.
Yeah.
It's more for me about the principles behind which you do things. And I think, you know, for a team to be truly successful, you need to give it the tools it needs to be successful.
Absolutely.
I mean, that might seem like of course you do, but it isn't that easy. You need that design resource. You need access to UX researchers. You need the trust of people to, you know, we have explored this area. This is what we have learned. This is why we may have intended on doing X, but we have learned and we're now doing Y. And people need to trust that, hey, those guys are going to be accountable for that. I mean, the trust isn't free. You're accountable for what it is that you do. But also learning, there's a bit of forgiveness on a few mistakes as well.
Yeah.
Even with the best UX and data in the world, things will never work out 100% as you predicted it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
A plan is the best point of view at a point in time. Things change, you know? So I've got off the topic here of POs and PMs. What can we do to kind of bridge the gap between being a PO and a PM? So I think really it's all about strategy, and it's most POs will kind of say, I am strategically aligned, but it's also about evolving the strategy and kind of feeding into kind of, you know, usually strategy there'll be themes, and those themes will evolve, and you will learn more about them and you will refine them, and it's being a voice in that. The other thing I would say about my journey from being a product owner to a product manager was I was a very efficient product owner. I kind of thought of myself as someone who did my job very, very well.
Yeah.
And that should be enough to get me to the next level.
Right.
It wasn't enough to get me to the next level.
Yeah.
I needed to bring everyone else on the journey of how I was capable. I knew I was capable. Yeah. I think there's a great quote from Carla Harris who says, it isn't enough that you can do the job. It isn't even enough if you are doing the job. You have to make sure that everybody knows that, you know, you can do the job. Because the decisions that get made about you aren't made about you because somebody doesn't like you. They're made about you because somebody doesn't know you. Taking people on the journey of, I know how to do this strategy stuff.
Absolutely.
I have changed the strategy based on what I have learned.
Right.
And it's showing people that you are
Definitely
that product manager.
True.
Like the way, like, I've had some great managers. The best managers in the world can't read your mind.
Yes. Oh, right.
So you have to tell them. You have to tell them, I want this.
Yeah.
Because they aren't going to guess. There isn't a checklist that they get that says, right, where is this person on this journey? Right, this is the next step for them.
Yeah.
It isn't. There isn't something like that managers get. You have to tell them, this is what I want, and then they can work with you.
True.
But you can't expect them to read your mind. And like, I'm telling you, these are some hard fought lessons I learned, because I did expect managers to read my mind. Right. I did expect doing a great job was going to be enough for me to be magically rewarded with the dream I had. And that's not because I had bad managers, it's because I didn't know how to use good managers.